This video is made possible by the lovely people over on my Patreon. If you're interested in supporting the channel or you want to get your hands on some awesome high quality STLs, then please visit patreon.com/Will at Heroic Studios.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of some refurbishment on this Dr. Fate helmet. Now, I use usually Bondo and filler primer and all that fun stuff, but this was actually done before, and before the gold was great, but over time it started to dull and it didn't really look good anymore. Plus, there were still layer lines, there was cracking in the paint, there was all sorts of stuff going on with the helmet, so I decided to kind of take my new knowledge that I have now, sand it down back to its prime layers and actually redo it. But instead of using Bondo, we're going to be using resin to kind of hide these layer lines to get it ready for paint and priming. So half the work is already done. I just want to use this new technique and get this baby looking like it was before all the dulling. And besides, I need to put it on my wall. I have a whole wall that needs to be made here. So this bad boy is going back up. So let's get into it. All right, so as you can see right here in this area, some of the paint started to crack. There's still a little bit of layer lines you can see underneath in the eyes and all that stuff. I wanted to kind of clean this bad boy up and make it look like it was fresh, like straight off the printer. I did this on my Cobra Max a while ago and it came off great. My only issue was that some of the print lines and stuff was not very I didn't really do a good job at hiding them. So I wanted to go back and kind of use what I've learned in the last few months and see if I can make this Dr. Fate helmet a little bit more pretty looking. First, you gotta clean it up because there's a lot of dirt on there. I'm sitting in a garage all day. Take some alcohol and just clean it up. And so we're gonna take some 80, maybe 100 grit sandpaper and kind of just sand that down. The rest of the helmet is pretty smooth, so no problem there. So we just got to get the rest of this stuff looking somewhat good. All right? Okay. Alright, so for the next part of this video, we're actually not going to be using any type of filler primer or paint or Bondo or anything like that. We're actually going to be coating this in some clear resin that I have here. This is some leftover stuff, so I don't really need it as much anymore. So I'm going to use it to actually coat the outer layer of the helmet, cure it with a lamp, and then I'm going to sand it down and make it smooth, and then we'll see how the paint actually sits on here. So you're going to need some clear resin, and you're going to need like a little sponge brush. I got a little tray right here that I'm just going to kind of pour in there. Not a lot. Oh, it's kind of purple. I must have made a purple resin. Doesn't matter. It's going to be painted over. All right. And we're just going to take this and we're going to coat the helmet with it. Easy peasy. All right, so now we're at the point to where a good portion of this is covered in resin. What we want to do now is take some higher grit sandpaper, maybe about 220, and start sanding this thing smooth. You don't need a really low grit. 220 might be pushing it, maybe 300 might be better, but with the dips and drips that are all over here, as well as some debris that might have came from the brush itself, you want to just go ahead and just smooth this out, sand it down, make it look nice. So when we give it our first round of primer, there should be no divots. And if there is, we got to go back and sand. One thing I've learned about this process when it comes to making, whether it be helmets or cosplay props, is that there will be some type of sanding involved. So if you're looking to get into this and you don't like sanding, all I can tell you is get used to it. So I'm just running the cure light over this thing one more time. Move it over. Let's get this side here. So we can go ahead and start sanding this stuff down. Of course, you want to make sure that you do have a respirator because you are sanding resin and you don't want to be inhaling those particles. So this looks just about good. So I'm going to put on my gloves, going to put on my respirator, and we are going to go ahead and knock this out. So alright, so that part wasn't so bad. I think I smoothed it out relatively enough to kind of give it a nice coat of primer, but I wanted to try something else. I wanted to actually give it a nice go over with some wet sandpaper. So I got a little bit of water here and some wet sandpaper, about 800 grit, and I'm just going to spray this down and go over it with the wet sandpaper to give it more of a glossier finish. So when we do hit it with the primer, it should look freaking awesome. So alright, so now we're going to hit this with some black primer. But I really want it to have like a dirty kind of gold looking deal. Not a dull gold, but like this thing has been hanging out in the desert for like 10,000 years or something. And the black really helps to contrast that gold. So I'm going to be using my go-to stuff. Is this Krylon Fusion all-in-one paint primer, glossy black. I use it for everything that I use gold on. So I'm going to be using it on here. And we're going to see how this thing turned out. Alright, so already we can see that drops at the top. That needs to be sanded down a little bit. Missed that. A little bit on the forehead there. A little light sanding out to get rid of that. But the cracking in the paint that was on the front of the helmet is gone now. So that is a plus, which is what I really wanted. Everything else looks really good. The primer really brings out a lot of the imperfections with the resin. So you want to make sure that you are kind of looking at it as you go. But wet sanding it was a really good idea because you can see light reflecting off of the helmet. So liking it so far. Here's another drip on the eye. So we got to take it back to the table, sand it off right here and up there, and then bring it back, hit it with another coat of primer. I'm going to let this dry for a second and maybe go take a nap. I don't know. So I think I've done a pretty good job of cleaning this up. This is the final coat of primer that's on here. So I think I'm ready to start adding the gold to it. But before I do that, there's not a usual good clear coat to use when it comes with the Rust-Oleum Gold, which is what I use on a lot of my stuff. So I've actually picked up this Rust-Oleum 2K clear gloss, and I'm actually going to give it a coat of clear gloss before I go ahead and throw some gold on there. Now I've already tested it out on the back. You can kind of see the gold on the back, and I like the way that it looks. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a once over of this 2K clear gloss, and going to see how exactly it looks after the fact. Alright, doesn't look half bad here. And the best part about that 2K clear coat is that before I did it, there was a lot of rough looking surfaces, and adding that clear coat kind of sort of smoothed it out. So I was hoping that that would happen. So yeah, not bad looking. I can dig how this actually looks. I'm just going to wait for it to dry. And depending on how it looks, I'll add another 2K clear coat layer to it. And then we'll start adding the gold. Go. Okay, so I just threw the second coat of clear coat onto this helmet, and so far it's not feeling tacky. Seems like it did its job. So pretty excited over how this looks. Let me focus this out a little bit. There we go. That's better. So I'm going to be using this Rust-Oleum metallic finish, which is usually my go-to gold for everything. I used to run with a lot of Montana black, but where I'm at, kind of hard to get. So I'm going to go ahead and just lightly dust the gold onto this. Lightly dust it a little bit. Nothing too over the top. And yes, you should be wearing a mask. I'm gonna go get mine right now. All right, I think that's enough for now. Give it that nice, shiny, kind of dirty gold look, which is what I was aiming for, and this thing looks really good. I'm actually impressed with how well it came out. When you use a black undercoat and you're going to use like a metallic or something, and you're trying to get that weathered, kind of like dull, but also awesome looking look to it, I guess you can say, you want to use these black, undertones for it, the glosses and stuff. So far, this looks really good. I like it. I like the way it looks. So I'm gonna let that settle for a while and then come back and maybe add another light dust of this stuff over it again. And then after that, we're finished. So I went ahead and gave this thing a few splashes of gold just to sort of bring out the imperfections that I couldn't see with the black. And there are still some ripples here, and there's one here, though you can't really see it in the camera. So all the gold here looks really good so far with that resin design that I did. The back looks freaking fantastic, so no complaints there. But the front still needs a little bit of work. So once this has a chance to cure overnight, I gotta sand that down, and I gotta sand down the other one that's up here. And then once that's all good, I think, there's another one right there that needs to be dealt with. Once that's all dealt with, then I think we'll be ready for our final dose of primer and our gold. And there's another one in there too. You can see it right there. Gotta sand that down. So I gotta wait for this stuff to cure in terms of like harden, but I do like the way this looks in terms of like the dirty gold kind of deal. So tomorrow morning, I would have to come in here, give this one more sand down, maybe with a higher grit sandpaper, lower grit, I'm sorry, maybe like an 80, and get in there and get that off, and then hit it with more primer, and then we'll see what it does from there. But so far, it looks great. As you can see, the helmet is now finished, and I like the way it looks. I like the way it feels. It's not too tight, and it comes on and off very easily. So this was actually a build from, I don't know, way back when, and so I just wanted to kind of finish it so I can finally add it to my wall. And as of now, it is actually going on my wall. And so that's going to do it for this video. Please like, subscribe if you guys want more tutorials like this one on how to do a simple helmet build. You don't have to use a lot of material or anything like that. Keep it simple, and remember that, you know, these things is based on what is acceptable for you. So if you guys want to see more of that, I got a ton of helmets that are on my backlog that need to be done. And so if you guys want to see that, like I said, like and subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Also, let me know how you do helmets. What kind of materials do you use? What is your process? How long does it take you to do a helmet? I'm still learning these things. I've been printing for about a few years now, but I want to get my helmet game back going. So comment below, let me know. And if you want to see me make something, let me know that too. Of course, special shout out to all my Patreon members. I also do helmets for them too. So thank you guys for supporting me, and I really do appreciate it. So until next time, folks, I will see you guys later. And I think this bad boy probably gonna go right here, maybe. Yeah, I think that's where that's gonna be. Yeah, let's mount this bad boy up here. Add it to the collection.